And as Americans prepare to head to the polls on Tuesday, there are many who've already cast a ballot. Early votes have soared past 15 million across 31 states as candidates across the country intensify their campaigning efforts this final weekend. Joining me now, MSNBC.com senior editor Beth Phui and staff writer for CQ Roll Call, Emily Cahn. With a welcome to you both, ladies. I'll reach out to you first, Beth. What is the conventional wisdom on where Senate control is going to land, and what is the number?
You know, that's such a funny question, Alex, because in all the years I've covered campaigns, there's been a very strong feeling about what was going to happen the following Tuesday. This year is very different. I mean, I would say generally speaking, Republicans are probably going to have a good night, but the polling is so close in all these states, and all these states with competitive Senate races, most of which are red states. One would assume that the Republicans would be running away with the campaigns at this point because of the president's relatively low popularity, the fact that Democrats are competing in very conservative places. And yet in most of these states, you see Democrats still kind of holding their own within the margin of error in all the polling. So I think we can say it's probably going to be a pretty good night for Republicans, but I think Democrats are going to have some surprises going in their favor.
Okay. Emily, the Washington Post has this new article I'm looking at about the flood of political ads, including these two. Here they are.
I'm Joni Ernst. I grew up castrating hogs on an Iowa farm. So when I get to Washington, I'll know how to cut pork.
Mitch McConnell wants you to think I'm Barack Obama. Mitch is the same guy who thought Duke basketball players were UK, or who's attacking me on coal.
All right. Well, anyway, total political advertising this year is expected to reach a record $2.4 billion. That's up $100 million from 4 years ago. So, Emily, how much of an impact do you think this is going to have on these close races?
Well, when you have so much money on the airwaves and you have some of these markets, they're just so oversaturated that you can't advertise anymore. There's nowhere left to go. So you have to have an ad that cuts through. And both of these women who are in, states in Iowa, we did her holding that gun in that shot was a way of her kind of saying that I'm not the National Democratic Party. I'm a different Democrat.
Yeah. Speaking of the Democrats, Beth, there's a very vulnerable Democratic Senator, Mary Landrieu of Louisiana, who's defending right now the comments that she made to NBC's Chuck Todd. So here's what she told him.
To be very, very honest with you, in the South has not always been the friendliest place for African Americans. It's been a difficult time for the president to present himself in a very positive light as a leader. It's not always been a good place for women to be able to present ourselves. It's more of a conservative place. So we've had to work a little bit harder on that. But, but the people trust me, I believe. Really, they do, to trust me to do the right thing for the state.
Well, this latest poll shows Senator Landrieu 7 points behind her Republican challenger. So, Beth, talk about the dynamic at play in that state, because the Landrieu name itself is a very popular and widely known one. So how do you think these comments are going to play out?
Well, it is a very popular name in Louisiana, but we're in a year right now where everybody's kind of sick of incumbents and sick of people who've been in politics for a long, long time. So the Landrieu name might be cutting a little bit against her in Louisiana at this point. But look, she made those comments, and they are controversial without question, to suggest that the president's not popular in the South because of his race, or that women have a problem in the South. Those are really scary comments to be making, and certainly are going to invite some backlash. But what she's trying to do there is to gin up her base in Louisiana to come out for her. Mm-hmm. And her base are Democrats, and Democrats in that state are largely going to be African American and younger women, and she's trying to bring those folks out. She has to.
And Emily, quickly, if the Republicans do manage to get control of the Senate, do you think that ensures a couple more years of absolute gridlock in the nation's capital, or something else?
Well, it's going to be fascinating. When Republicans take the Senate, the margin will likely be pretty slim. And you have Mitch McConnell, who's going to have to deal with some legislation coming from the House side that's not going to be something that, a lot of his vulnerable members in 2016 like. Just like this cycle, where a lot of Democrats were running in states that President Obama was very unpopular, next time around, a lot of Republicans are running in states where Democratic presidents do really well. So his caucus, his vulnerable senators, are not going to want to deal with a lot of that House agenda.
Okay. Beth Phui and Emily Cahn, thank you, ladies.